to Narrow Path Doctrine. My name is Jim. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Want to talk about a couple of verses in the Gospel of John here today. And I just want to mention off the top, if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet, maybe you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get updates when new videos come out here on the channel. Usually have a video coming out every couple of days. The verses that we're looking at here today in the Gospel of John is in chapter 9. It's verses 39 through 41. It says, "And Jesus said, For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth." I think a lot of people probably misunderstand this verse. I want to get into more details, and we'll do that here next. Our passage here in the Gospel of John comes at the close of the story of Jesus healing the man that was born blind. That miracle was not only physical, but also symbolic of the spiritual reality that Christ came to give sight to those who are spiritually blind. The physical blindness of the man became a picture of the sinner's condition in total depravity, and his healing is a picture of God's sovereign grace. Jesus then declares the great division his coming brings. Some receive sight, others are confirmed in blindness. This is a declaration of sovereign election and reprobation that we see all throughout the Gospel of John. Jesus says in our verses, "For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind." Now, this isn't a contradiction with the Gospel of John earlier in chapter 3, verse 17, that says, "For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved." There's no contradiction here. John 3:17 speaks of his first coming not being for the purpose of final condemnation. But here in John 9:39, he speaks of the inevitable division that his presence brings. The gospel always divides. As Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 2:16, "It is to the one we are the savor of death unto death, and to the other the savor of life unto life. And who is sufficient for these things?" The judgment is this: the humble sinner who knows he is blind receives sight. The proud who claim to see are confirmed in blindness. John Calvin comments on this. He says, "Christ came to give sight to the poor and to the blind, but he also blinds and hardens the reprobate. This is no accident, but the righteous judgment of God. This is sovereign work of God, salvation for the elect, hardening for the reprobate." Romans 9:18 says, "Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth." Our verses continue here. It says, "And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also?" The Pharisees were the most religious, most moral, most learned men of the day, yet they were blind to Christ. Their question was not general inquiry, but mockery and self-defense. They were offended that Jesus might imply that they needed some sight. This is the great danger of self-righteousness. The Pharisees believed they saw, that they had knowledge, light, and truth in themselves, but in reality their claim only proved their blindness. And this is exactly what Christ confronts in Revelation 3:17, where it says, "Because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked." Our verses continue. It says, "Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth." Jesus doesn't speak here meaning that their ignorance excuses their sin. Rather, he speaks of a posture of humility. If they confessed their blindness, if they admitted their need, then they would find forgiveness. But since they claim to see, they remain under guilt. Their pride keeps them in their sin. This is the essence of total depravity. Man, in his natural state, does not admit his blindness, but thinks he is wise. Romans 1:22 tells us this, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. The true blindness is not ignorance of facts, but willful rejection of Christ. Their guilt is not lessened by their knowledge, it is increased. Jesus says in John 15:22, "If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin." The Pharisees' boast, we see, is the very reason their sin actually remains. Knowledge without grace only hardens. Just like those who claim to know who Jesus is, but also claim that he came to make salvation possible, and only those who choose him and accept the offer of the gospel are saved. Their work and acceptance of Christ somehow makes the gospel and salvation offer complete by activating it somehow. This is self-righteousness and pride. There is a true need for humility here. Salvation begins with confessing, "Lord, I am blind." The elect are those whom the Spirit humbles and brings to see their utter dependence upon Christ. There's also a warning against self-righteousness here. Religious knowledge, morality, or church activity can blind one to the truth of Christ, who God truly is, how sovereign he is, and how he saves his people. Charles Spurgeon once said, "The greatest enemy to human souls is the self-righteous spirit which makes men look to themselves for salvation." And we need to see that Christ is the true light. The blind man received both physical and spiritual sight. The Pharisees, with all their supposed light, remained in darkness. The difference here is sovereign grace. So, in conclusion, John 9:39 through 41 confronts us with the great reality of Christ's coming. He divides men. Those who confess their blindness are given sight by his sovereign grace. Those who proudly claim we see are hardened and left in their sin. The gospel is not a message that can be received neutrally. It humbles the sinner or hardens the proud. The question for each of us is, do we confess our blindness that Christ may open our eyes, or do we say we see and remain blind? All right, thank you so much for joining me here today. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up and share it with others so they can know the truth. And if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet, please do so and click the notification bell to get updates when new videos come out here on the channel. So until next time, remember, true doctrine matters. God bless.
The narrow path is the way that leads to life. We walk it every day, through blessings and through strife. The narrow path